Welcome to the bold analysis. Consistent attacks on President William Ruto and even now by extension the Jomo Kenyatta by what we can call as the current generation of leaders has been argued as a fodder to Raila Odinga to plan his re-entry in Mount Kenya even after the last general election. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. Thank you very much for your support. The last time Raila conducted 27 rallies since February. And by the end of those rallies, he did not go to the counties of Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Murang'a, Laikipia, and so on, and those ones, and Tharaka Nithi. His attempt to hold a rally in Githurai was averted when some group of goons invaded where he had put the tent. The tent was broken down, and of course, he could not hold the rally, so he decided to go just to do a roadside rally in Githurai. That's where the politics of goons started, and it's coming. Something that it's a reality we have, the politics of using goons. Other people say it is Moi era or it's Museveni tactics. I don't know how you choose to describe it. Then also, when he was holding, I think, the Ruai rally to the Blue Post, the very day, that was an attempt to get to Mount Kenya. His convoy was also pelted. There was a tear gas canister that was thrown in the convoy, and it caused some disruptions. This has been done, and immediately after the last general election, those who are oligarchs, or rather the compact majority, the people that call the shots, seems to have really implemented a very elaborate strategy to make sure that they lock out Raila Odinga from getting entry to the mountain. Last general election, it is not lost to us, and of course it's historic numbers. The numbers that Raila got in Mount Kenya in the last general election is something that is really worrying to any other person that is still looking at Mount Kenya in his political matrix. And I can tell you, all the hate-mongering messages and the messaging around the Maandamano as targeting Mount Kenya businesses has been crafted with a very clear goal, and that is objectively to create a rift between, especially to destroy the bridge that Uhuru and Raila were trying to put together. I still remain as a handshake crusader between Uhuru and Raila because it remained one of the most important things in the political history of this country. We had a very good election, peaceful elections in the August 2022 because of that handshake. I know most of us do not, the current breed of leaders and the political fanatics, sycophants now, choose to ignore it because of political expediency. But for us that were making political observations throughout electioneering period, we really know. And for me, that is my position, that handshake was a good thing to this country. Now, I can tell you that Raila, even this scheme to make sure that Jubilee leaders, Sabina Chege and Kanini Chege, and also other leaders who were elected with Jubilee Party in the mountain, were to cross over and join UDA. In fact, it started over by the takeover of the Jubilee Party, so that they make sure they pull out the Jeremiah Kioni from the fold. It was strategically done to make sure that Raila Odinga is isolated and there is no entry route to Mount Kenya. And to say the truth, I think Mount Kenya has been a very difficult space for Raila, even now, to host the rallies. So, I want to tell you why I look at Uhuru attacks as an entry level. Today, let us say it as it is. Raila Odinga Spectra International Company, East Africa, was also attacked by the goons. He never went there. There was skirmishes in Kibera. He went and met two factions that were reveling in Kibera. But then he flew after the press briefing to the farm. He was received by the area by the MCA and some other leaders in that place, who showed their dissatisfaction by what they call as attack on the former president. So there is no denial that Raila Odinga went there to stand in solidarity and of course just trying to express their reservation with the acts of what exactly happened in that place. As we talk now, even there are those who might have voted for William Ruto that are united in saying we can disagree on many issues, but the approach of destroying Uhuru Kenyatta's property is a wrong strategy. And that's why I'm telling you that those who seem to be fighting against Uhuru Kenyatta are just reviving his clout. Remember, he's been so quiet. I don't know when he chooses to fight back or rather to now show that sort of my presence. There is an assumption that is normally made, and I believe it is a big assumption. But because there are leaders who supported William Ruto and they campaigned for William Ruto, successfully William Ruto became the president by hook or crook. So by that, they've elevated themselves as they are the who's in the mountain. No problem. Power is transition. Uhuru Kenyatta has left power, and by the virtue of being a president now living power, of course, he's not going to yield a lot of power. But I don't think he still lacks the political will to roll back in the fold. Uhuru attacks at Raila is a blessing to Raila because number one, it's when Raila and Uhuru are still holding together and they're now being seen as people that are being pushed to the corner. It looks like a dynasty versus hustler narrative, trying to push to fight them in the grounds of that dynasty. What does it show? You create the class that, okay, you're now fighting them. But as you create the class of hustlers versus dynasty, remember, the state is doing less to impress the hustlers. So successfully after dividing, the same political leaders will then ask you, okay, fine. And even hustlers will say, fine. This is not the first time that we are getting this kind of narrative. Even last general election, we were divided into hustlers and dynasties. But nothing has been done. So that division, as it is, it's a blessing in this case. And it can be a ground for Raila Odinga to get in there because it's a strategy that still holds together Uhuru Kenyatta sympathizers. Remember, Kenyans tend to coalesce around oppressed. Kenyans protect someone who is seen as being oppressed. So if the more you attack Uhuru, the more you talk about Uhuru and everything is being said, those who support Uhuru Kenyatta, and they supported Uhuru Kenyatta, they are finding every reason to stick with him. So that means that in future, if Uhuru Kenyatta is going to give a political voice, even though it might not be very much influential, but it will still get an ear that it can drop into. So that's one thing. And that's how Raila will do. The SMU team will actually come. Because I believe, yes, Jeremiah Kioni and Mathakar were strong, but I don't think they're still up to the kind of influence they wield. Cannot compare. You cannot compare that to that of Uhuru Kenyatta. So that's number one. The sympathizers still remain and sympathize with Uhuru Kenyatta, and they can still listen to him. Three. When whatever is happening in the mountain is an attack on Uhuru Kenyatta. And there are those who not all will support it. And with those who might have supported the current political leaders, remember the campaign was not on, this is not why you were elected. In fact, they were elected that we were going to undo what Uhuru did. We were going to undo what Uhuru did. Uhuru did not develop the region, took developments to Nyanza, took to other places. So Uhuru did not do, Uhuru differed with the deputy, and so we don't want to be political conmen, so we have to support him. All those stories have been here and there. So when we really run with that narrative, the truth of the matter here is that there are those who then will see, look here, even if those who support William Ruto that might even change and say, that's not it. I'm also looking at it in this perspective. The entry point of William Ruto was the church. So when he went there was projection of sanity, the good man, no ill motive. We were not going to revenge. So the voice of the clergy, even supporting candidates. These are people that have even organized prayer rallies, interdenominational rallies in those places, praying for this, praying for that. The church, the voice of the bishops, the voice of the clergy is most likely going to be suppressed by some of these outrageous activities or blunders that the state is committing. And that is, in long range, it is going to have an effect when actually they come, when it comes to political dispensation. Lastly, let me say, I don't know, and that is why I'm saying Raila will get his entry there, because there is no way that attacks on Uhuru, attack on the milkman is going to benefit Mwananchi directly. If Uhuru is to cede land to government, it is not going to settle the squatters. So it's an exercise in futility, number one, and you have created a ground that probably your success will be how you could have successfully managed to control Uhuru Kenyatta. If that is your success card, then that is a success card that is not available. You will engage in these dramas. By the time the voters are asking for the scorecard, you are still talking about Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. That is where the voice of Azimio will come in. I don't think in 2022 it will still be tenable to be talking about Uhuru destroyed our economy, Uhuru never brought us development, Uhuru never did this, or Uhuru never did that. There is a blind perception that when I say when I tell people about Raila, or when I tell people about Uhuru Kenyatta, and because they hate Uhuru Kenyatta, I'm going to get my political bonga points. That's a very blind approach. But in the meantime, when Kenyans will ask for, according to me, when Kenyans will ask for the track record, I'm seeing fellows may not have that track record. And that will be the point of departure. That's the end of the point.